excited for to be here with everybody today. And it looks like the internet is running a little sloggy, so I'm still trying to wait for some of the channels to come up. But I want to keep talking because some of them have already started going live. So I'm super excited to be here with y'all today. We're going to be talking about a lesson that is going to just, oh my goodness, it's a great lesson today. It really is. I am excited to talk to you about this myth of risk and this myth of playing it safe. And a lot of times, if you have been doing everything right, quote unquote right, if you've been doing everything you know how to do, and yet somehow you don't seem to be making the progress that you think you should be making, well, pay attention tonight, and I guarantee you're going to find something that's going to open up your eyes, shift your perspective, change your energy, morph you into something that you haven't done before, and it's going to make a difference. You know, sometimes when things make a difference in my life, it's making a difference because it's the right action to take, or the fact that I took action, even if it wasn't the best action. The fact that I took action instead of being passive about something actually breaks free of that passivity and then allows me to then move forward into the right action. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough today, but I guarantee you this is a good lesson, and I'm super excited to share it with you because it's a great example of why people don't get the type of results they're really capable of, the kind of results they could get if they would just grasp the challenge in hand. And more each day, I really do believe there aren't any rejects. There are no hopeless cases. In fact, it's completely the opposite. Everyone has all the potential that they will ever need. Let me say that again. Let me move my certificate over here because I want to be able to not knock those things over. Let me say that again. There aren't any rejects. There are no hopeless cases. It's completely opposite. Everyone has all the potential they will ever need, including you. So potential is not their problem. Potential is not the problem, but it's the attitude that determines how much of the potential is cultivated into skills and abilities, and then how many of those skills and abilities then are turned into actions, which then become results. Oh, so it's not what we can do, but what we will do that counts. It's not what we can do, but what we will do that counts. Now, if you're watching me live or if you're watching me after the fact, it's okay. If you're watching after the fact, you can still type it in the chat. I want you to type in the chat, it's not what I can or can't do. It's not what I can do. It's not what I can't do. It's what I will do. And we've talked about this before because, you know, anybody who can I was about to say complain, but that's not the energy I'm looking for tonight. Anybody can look over there to all the things over there that we can't do, and all the things over there that I can't reach, and all the things over there that I don't have access to. But yet, here in my hand are all the things I could be doing. And how much of these things in my hand do we actually do? Maybe a speck. So it's not about what I can do. It's not about what I can't do. It's about what I will do. All right. And so, although anyone can go through this process of turning their potential into the results that they want, most people never learn how to do it effectively, decisively, purposefully. And even without, and even then, you know, we don't even realize what we're doing. And so then what happens? People end up living a life they don't want on autopilot, never realizing that the world is at their fingertips. And it's such a shame. It's such a waste of talent and a waste of life. Because when we're on autopilot, most people don't realize what they are doing to themselves because it happens automatically. Let me say that again. When we're on autopilot, most people don't realize what they are doing to themselves because it happens automatically. You see, we are different from all the other animals on the planet because we have been gifted with the free will. We can choose. And we've talked about this before, but it's huge. It means that in every moment, we have the ability to choose. Not just what we're going to do, but who we're going to become. So, how many choices do you think we make every day? We are making choices every single moment. And some of those choices are conscious, but many of them are unconscious. And either way, we're not free from the consequences of those decisions, whether we consciously made them or we were on autopilot. It's that double edged sword, the responsibility that goes with free will. We are free to choose, but we are not free from the consequences of our choices. And guess what, y'all? Choosing to not make a choice is a choice. You know, they say America is the land of the free, but there are more people here than in any other country in the world that I think who don't understand the responsibility of freedom. And here's the thing, the choices we make are the result of a decision making process. And at some point, for most of us, that decision making process stops being a point where we make the best decision we can out of the options we perceive available to us. And there comes a point where we decide whether or not to take a risk. And the earlier in that process that you decide that you are now going to call that decision making process taking risks, then the less successful you're going to be. Let me say that again in a different way. Many of us in the freest country in the world, we don't ever stop to think about the fact that we have the ability to make a choice, and we have the ability to make these choices. And if we will allow to call them choices instead of risks, if if we if we decide that we're going to if we decide that we're going to hamstring ourselves because we don't want to take risks, then we're going to be less successful. It's as simple as that. And I know it sounds harsh. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying not to be harsh. I know it sounds harsh, but it's true. And there's only one way out. There's only one way out of poverty. There's only one way out of poor health. There's only one way out of bad relationships. There's only one way out of a spiritual dearth, and the only one way out of everything in your life that you don't want. And you have to make a choice. You have to choose to avoid this automatic pitfall that everybody else has been trapped in. And so that's what we're going to look at today. How do you take this, turn this paradigm on its head, and use your decision-making ability to accept risk as a part of a successful life and use it to live a full life? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about how you can learn to be that conscious co-creator of your experience. We're going to learn how you can stay in the thrill of living in the moment on the edge of your emerging future, but not dwelling in the fears of past mistakes, misjudgments, and that projected onto the future. Because what do they say about stress and anxiety, right? That it's really projecting about the future. No, we're gonna march towards the future. We're gonna be accepting and acknowledging of the past, but we're gonna live in the present. We're not gonna waste our life being fearful of the future, because guess what? The future is coming whether we want to or not. And we're not gonna sit around blaming the evil others. All the other people whose fault it is that your life is where it is. Oh, y'all, this is not coming out as nice as I want it to come out. But if you will get these concepts tonight, it will make all the difference in your life. It'll make all the difference in your health. It'll make all the difference in your financial bottom line. It'll make all the difference in your business. It'll make all the difference in your peace of mind. So I love this lesson. I really do. And I think you're going to love it too. All right. I think it's going to be a game changer because it's going to bring some clarity for you. And I know some of you are going to dig a little deeper for that. You can go into the link at the bottom of the screen, calendly.com/JJ Conway/audit. And I will show you how to dig deeper into these concepts in a way that's personal and meaningful for you. So, a lot of times when I was younger in my business and younger in my life, I didn't like it when people wouldn't just tell me up front, well, tell me how you're going to help me. Well, I discovered as a financial coach, as a business coach, as a life coach, as a fill in the blank, whatever it is you need me to be to show up for you, to show up for yourself, coach, I found that that every problem isn't a nail. So I can't come at every problem with a hammer. I have to show you how to work and how to solve your problems according to what you are going through and what your goals are. Two people can have the same crummy situational life, but this one has these goals and that one has that goals. So they need to be connected to different mentors. They need different strategies. They have different backgrounds and different things that and different paradigms that they've taken on. It's not a one size fits all. Any coach that makes you feel like it's a one size fits all, well, maybe you should fill out the form at JJ Conway, Calendly/JJ Conway/audit first. Because your life isn't a one size fits all. If it were, you probably wouldn't be where you're at. And I know there's a bell curve. Yeah, I talk about the bell curve all the time. There's a bell curve of human behavior. Some of us are outliers over there. Some of us are outliers over here. Whole bunch of people in the middle act pretty much the same. Well, I wasn't called to the people who are the same. I was called to the people who have something unique to bring to this world. I was called to the people who have something so different and something so powerful and something so impactful that they just were created to make huge change in the world. And if that's you, I want you to dig into this lesson today. All right. All right. I really want to dig in. But, even as I think about it, and I teach this stuff, y'all, even as I think about it, I can hear the voice of my childhood saying things like, be careful. You better know what you're getting yourself into. Better safe than sorry. Or you don't want to end up like so-and-so. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And probably everybody listening to this, you have heard things like this growing up, didn't we? And most of us didn't even give them any thought whatsoever. We just tucked them away without any conscious consideration of what the real meaning of these phrases really, really, really are. And so most of us weren't even able to give them some conscious thought because we weren't able to think that way at the young age when we heard those things. And we couldn't challenge those ideas like we can as adults. But then even as adults, even if we could challenge them, we don't challenge them. We didn't challenge them because we trusted the people who were telling us those things. I mean, after all, respect your elders. They know better. These phrases, these concepts, they were spoken, or in some of our cases, shouted at us by good-meaning, loving people in our lives. People who had our best interest at heart. It's the most natural thing in the world, isn't it? A loving parent, uncle, teacher shares their life's wisdom to help protect us, keep us safe from harm. And at the same time, we could do nothing else but accept it. And we accepted it. And today, you've got something great to do. You know the world is waiting on what you're sitting on. You know that there's a dream burning in your heart to have more, do more, be more. You know, but you're afraid to accept it. You know, because it keeps you up at night. And then the self-condemnation of, well, I should have done this and I could have done that. And if only I was this and if only I was that. Well, I'm telling you today, we're different. You're empowered, whether you realize it or not. And so before we pass this same wisdom on to our loved ones, before we play out the rest of our life under the influence and control of those early sound bites that turn into beliefs, maybe it would just be a good idea to challenge some of the wisdom that's been holding us back and to really think about whether or not it makes sense for us anymore, whether or not it makes sense or serves us today. I mean, really, if we're going to use these linguistic metaphors as shortcuts in our thinking to the degree that they determine our decision-making and behavior, which they do, shouldn't we stop at least for a moment and really evaluate the truth and the wisdom and the effectiveness of the thinking? The thinking that will, if left unchallenged, ultimately end up being a part of our learning model to decision-making. I mean, it's really not our fault that these things were imparted to us, but it is now our responsibility to check those beliefs and replace them with new productive ones if they are no longer serving you. Do you know that as a process of really thinking about this, it's probably worth considering where that wisdom came from. I mean, where did it originate? From whom? And was it really their best thinking? Was it really the best wisdom of the person who gave it to you? Maybe your grandma, maybe your auntie, your uncle, your best friend, the kids on the playground. Was it really their original thought based on their real life experience? Or was it something that they too just accepted as a way of conduct because somebody influential in their life shouted it at them? Have you ever really thought about where, when, or why a generalized concept becomes so widely accepted as a process for thinking in your family, in your school, in your church, in your organization, that it now goes unchecked and unchallenged, as though it's been given thought immunity for the rest of all time and for all future generations? Like, we are not going to challenge these sacred cows. Yet most of these statements were probably passed on as a shortcut to parenting and a shortcut to open dialogue on some of life's most important lessons. Very much like, mom sitting you down in front of the TV to watch cartoons or listen to the radio so she could get some peace and quiet. One of those things that I said I would never do as a parent and did very, very early in my parenting, and said, well, I've become one of those moms. I mean, imagine sitting down for 3 hours trying to explain the concepts of decision and consequence making, to a 5-year-old or to a 7-year-old of better safe than sorry. Okay, I mean, it's like being at home with the kids. Okay, and I'll give you an example from my own personal life. It's like being at home with the kids, and they want to go to the pool and they want to go swim, and you're trying to get stuff done, and they're like, "Can we go out and swim?" And I'm so busy and busy. And I remember when this happened, I'm busy and busy. I looked out the window, saw a cloud. I said, "Not now. It looks like it might be a storm." And Cubby, he don't miss a beat, y'all. Smart kid, very analytical. And he looks out the window, he says, "But it's not raining." And I'm like, "No, but there might be lightning. You can't go in the pool if there might be a storm. Lightning is dangerous." Now, as you hear this, ask yourself, how easy is it for them to accept that clouds are dangerous, or believe that you can't swim when it's cloudy because lightning might get you? It's frightening how easy false beliefs take hold and how easy it is to soak these things up as a child. I mean, let's face it, the application of this better safe than sorry concept, it really was meant to prevent us from killing ourselves or someone else. At least in my life, for sure. That was one of the main reasons it was used and programmed into my little mind. When crossing the street, it sure is better to be safe than sorry. Or something that we did as kids, when decided to jump off the light post down to the ground because you can't figure out how else to get down. It sure would have been better to be safe than sorry. I'll never forget that day as a second grader in Okinawa, realizing the next time I climb up a light post, I better have an exit strategy. And that's great advice in business too, right? You buy some real estate. What do I teach? I teach you how to have 2 or 3 exit strategies before you buy it, right? But as a second grader, I didn't have that awareness. And I really believe that those were the times, those were the conditions and the circumstances when my mom, my military mentors, other people wanted me to operate from a model of it's better to be safe than sorry. But the problem is they never explained to me that this strategy, this rule of thumb for decision making, had limits. In fact, if I used it as a strategy for making all of my risky decisions, it could and would lead me down a path exactly the opposite of its original intention to protect me and keep me safe. It would, in fact, hurt me, hold me back, and jeopardize my future more so than any other outside conditions or circumstances that they wanted to protect me from. We have the gift of discernment and we need to use it occasionally. This gift of discernment, it's really the gift of observation. You see more, and you see more before. And I think about the decisions that I made that defy logic, such as to spend money on mentoring or even a class like this when I was working 3 jobs just to survive and sleeping in my car, right? But something in my spirit said, do it. And the discernment pushed me where logic would have said better safe than sorry. And that mentoring, that course opened up so many doors of opportunity worth thousands. What was good logic in one situation or circumstance is bad logic or risky in another. It's like moths in electric light. When the lights are stars millions of lights away, you can use them for navigating at night. And when the lights are electric lights 10 feet away and you try to use them for navigating, you just end up spiraling into them. Logic that works in one scenario becomes deadly in another. So we really have to think about where my beliefs around risk taking come from. Was it reliable? And does it still work? Risk for all the different types of risk. You gotta challenge these fears around risk. So the last time that I really sat down and evaluated my performance and thought process around the topic of risk taking and the beliefs that drive that process, it opened up my eyes to this shift that happened. At least in my life as a military officer, there's a shift that happens. Start off as a butter bar, and you're going to change the world. You're going to change the world as a captain. You're going to change the world as a major. And if you can just make it to lieutenant colonel, oh my goodness, you're going to really be in some power. You're going to be a squadron commander. You're going to put on full bird. You're going to have the power to change everything. But guess what happens between major and lieutenant colonel? Don't rock the boat. Play it safe. And I can tell you this. If you're at all like me, before I came into this new awareness, I never challenged those kinds of paradigms. It never even occurred to me that I had to have a strategy or a process to evaluate. And my friends, therein lies one of the biggest problems we all face: lack of awareness. How you do everything is part of a learning model. Your learning model, it's unique to you and your beliefs and your level of awareness. How you get dressed, how you eat, how you answer your phone, how you drive your car, how you walk your dog, raise your children, interact with your family and your friends. Everything. We have a programmed process. And if you don't like the results you are getting, you have to tweezer apart that learning model, identify the beliefs that are holding that model together, then expand your awareness of your potential to create a new belief, a new life beyond what you have now. And then you must identify the principles within a new model that you will master to create the life you want. And finally, got to get to work on it. I I'm teaching and sharing with you things that I've been through. And for all my success, all my military success, all my personal success, all the books that I've written, all the things that I've done, they never brought me to my full potential because I was still operating under a paradigm that was always going to keep me playing it safe. But sometimes better safe is sorry. And what I've come to believe and know to be true from my life and seen it play out in literally thousands of other people's lives, y'all, is that the principles within a learning model of achievement can be learned. If you are not getting the results of your life, the results of your life today are the result of the learning model of decision making and success or lack of success or failure or incompetency or complacency that you have taken on over time. And I'm not saying it's instantaneous, although every once in a while I come across somebody who gets it right away. I know I sure didn't. You know why I did? Let me tell you why I didn't get it right away. And some of you might identify with this today. I didn't get it right away because I thought I was doing all right. I mean, you don't get to be a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force as a physicist just by bumbling along. You got to do a few things right. I didn't get paid to go speak all around the world just by bumbling along. You got to do a few things right. Well, you can do a few things right here and a few things right there, but if you want unlimited, if you want to unlock your unlimited potential, if you want to have the true success and the peace and the confidence that you know you can have, it's time to shake it up. It's time to shake it up. So I'm going to encourage you today to to experiment with this, that, and the other and observe what happens. I want you to enter purposefully and intentionally into this place of self-evaluation and begin to challenge some of the thinking that you may have just openly accepted and adopted as your own, when in fact, at the time, you lacked the awareness to evaluate and fully understand the importance and consequences of doing so. So let's look at some of the beliefs around risk taking, and let's look back at some of the results that we have from taking risks and not taking risks. Let's examine some of those thinking processes around risk taking. And I really do think it's important that you buy into an idea that I'm going to share with you and begin to allow it to become a belief in your learning model around risk taking. And that is this: it's necessary to take risks to grow. In fact, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, he says life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. For my military brethren, let me show it to you a different way. I just had out my favorite pen, and I guess I put it back. Can y'all see that okay? Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I guess that doesn't show up very well on the video, but life begins. I had this engraved on my pen because for me it's very important to remind myself, if I'm not growing, I'm not going. And the only way I'm going to grow is to get outside of my comfort zone. All right? It is necessary. If you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. It is necessary to take risks to grow. It's important that you fully believe and accept that it is necessary. In fact, it's a very good thing to take actions that the world has defined as a risk. If you want to grow and create a life beyond what you currently have right now, then you have to take risks. So the key question here is, are you willing to define or label your actions of moving forward and growing as taking risks? So Webster defines risk this way: exposure to the chance of injury or loss, a hazard or chance, or dangerous chance, a hazard or dangerous chance. Okay, so that's defining risk as a noun. And so here's something else for us to talk about: is there really any such thing as risk? And I realize there's a critical distinction between risk and decision. So, on that definition, life actually isn't risky. We know how it will turn out. No one gets out alive. Life is exposure to the chance of injury or loss every day. Does that mean life is a risk or life is life? If you put your whole life on a one-time spin of a coin, that's risky. There's a 50% chance that it's not going to end well for you, and that's a big risk. But most of life is not a single spin, is it? It's spin after spin after spin. There's always another spin. There are benefits to some spins and there are consequences to others, but there's always more spins because there is always another spin. Whether you're going to be successful or not is based on two things: the chance of winning and the reward you get when you win. If it costs you, let me say this another way. If it costs you $10 to buy a ticket, and I realize I've got some comments in here. Oh, you guys are awesome. I know I'm a little late on the comments there, but I wanna thank you all for being here today. I would keep going, but they're so old. I don't want to put somebody's comment where it doesn't belong. But let me explain it to you this way: if it costs you $10 to buy a ticket and you win roughly half the time, but when you win, you only get $1 back. If you keep playing spin after spin after spin, it's not a risk that you might lose everything. It's an absolute mathematical certainty. It's just a matter of time. Well, it just keeps getting worse and worse. But if you get $50 back if you win and you continue playing, it's an absolute mathematical certainty that you're going to be rich. It's just a matter of time, and it will get better and better. And in life, because we have the ability to learn and grow each spin and get better at learning the rules, is it still a risk? Or is it, in fact, a growth process. I have figured that it is a good thing to create our own definition of words and not just blindly accept someone else's. And it's the same with failure. Now, look, I'm not saying this is universally known as a cup. We're going to change that to pencil, okay? But what I'm saying is the world defines risk and success and failure in many different ways. And we can define failure however we want, but what constitutes failure for one does not have to constitute failure for all. It's only failure if you give up. But if you keep going, it's a learning process because failure is only failure if it's final. Oh, that's good, y'all. Y'all write that down. Somebody drop that in the chat. Failure is only failure if it's final. Now, we're not talking about bungee jumping here or wrestling alligators or riding a motorcycle 100 miles an hour with no hands on the handlebar, okay? That's like paying $10 for the ticket knowing you're only going to get $1 back. That's risk-taking behavior, okay? Life or death activities may end up being single events, in which case they are a risk. If you're going to climb Mount Everest, make note of the fact that 297 people have died trying. Some of their bodies are still up there. That's risky by most people's definition. And I think, might disagree, but that's a healthy definition of risk. It doesn't mean you don't do it. It means you understand the situation and you use a learning model of success so that you don't end up another one of those bodies. And we're talking about risk-taking behavior as it relates to moving forward in our lives, in deciding to break from one pattern of thought, life, and behavior in favor of a new, unexplored path that takes us to a new result in our lives. You can't keep doing the same thing you've been doing and expect different results. You keep doing what you've been doing, you keep getting what you're getting. You got to do something new. And remember, most of us were taught that all risks should be treated in the same way. So in the example before, better safe than sorry strategy, well, that's great for behavior where we could end up losing our life climbing Mount Everest, right? But it's not so great when it comes to starting a new business or stepping out of our comfort zone to accept a new challenge that could lead to a new possibility for our lives. So if risk is defined as a chance for loss, I respectfully disagree. The only possible loss is the loss you don't want, the current results. And you don't want the current results. So if you invest in a new business so you can have a more fulfilled life, a better life, an income for your family, you really lose nothing if you enter into that behavior with a purpose and a willingness to learn from whatever feedback you gain from the process. Now, look, I might lose money, but I might gain a bit of experience and knowledge as well. Isn't that what college tuition is? I mean, come on, y'all. It's a trade of money for experience and knowledge, right? So trading money and for experience and knowledge becomes normal to those of us who are continuing to grow. Yet no one would tell the entrepreneur that going to college was risky. What's the difference? What is it that we want to achieve? What's the difference between, actually, now that I have somebody who's getting ready to go off to college, it's a little more real to me because I understand that for a lot of people, college was a playground. And I'm not trying to trade my money for that experience. Okay, so maybe I got to come up with a new example. Look, that example was a lot more applicable back when little man was little. Okay, but you understand what I'm saying, right? What do we even get out of going to college, right? For most of us, we didn't get a whole lot out of going to college that we see on the surface, but nobody would say don't go. In fact, many of us would find it risky to not go. So we have to understand that some of the things that we do in our life is really just exchanging money for experience, exchanging money for knowledge, exchanging money for connections, exchanging money for mentoring. And there's really no difference. It's really no difference. especially once you realize what it is you want to achieve. Now, I know this may seem kind of strange to you because you probably wouldn't be here. I know you probably wouldn't be here if you didn't know what you want to achieve, but you would be amazed at how many clients that I work with who actually don't know what it is they want to achieve. They know something they want, but they haven't quantified to themselves what it is they actually want to achieve. It's like the guy who said he wanted to build a 10-bedroom house. He wanted to build a 10-bedroom mansion with different wings, right? And you ask him, well, what is it? What is it that you really want with this house? Well, I want my family to be able to come, and one son and their family live in one wing, and one daughter and their family live in the other wing. And now you're looking at that like, I don't think I want to go live with my parents. I'm pretty sure these kids who live all across the country probably don't want to come home and live with their parents, right? And so you start digging more. What is it that you want? Well, I want to be able to make memories with my family while I still have the health and strength to do it. Well, guess what? Once we understand what you really want to achieve, now we can set about achieving that goal. But a lot of us are chasing after a goal we don't even really want. Nobody wants to clean a 10-bedroom house. You might want to have the money to pay somebody else to clean it, but you know what I'd rather have? I'd rather have a condo on the beach and take my family on vacations. So it's very important to understand what it is that we want to achieve, because only when we get clear about what it is that we want to achieve can we get real clear about the fact that what we're doing right now isn't going to get us there. If we get clear about the fact that we're here to do something bigger in the world, and it's not just about having more things. See, when we want to just have more things and we're chasing after things, well, then we get led into risk-taking behavior. But when it's about serving a higher purpose, then it becomes about purpose-driven behavior. And it's not about the outcome. It's about saying yes to an inspired purpose, saying yes to that which is seeking to be born, saying yes to what's emerging from our soul and our spirit. It's about saying yes, lining with the thoughts, ideas, and actions that allow us to make the biggest difference in the world. And I assure you, there's no risk in that. There's no loss. There's no injury. What else did Webster say? There's no chance of hazard or danger. All there is a continuum of our life seeking a fuller expression and expansion. And if we blindly and accept and adopt this blanket common wisdom and definition of risk taking, we risk becoming too regimented in our old beliefs. And if we take or follow that continuum, well, we find ourselves living in a comfort zone between two stop signs. On one end, the sign that prevents us from falling backwards, which most of us define as a good thing, oh, safety. And at the other end, posted at the leading edge of our highest good, which most people would define as the territory of better safe than sorry. That's the other self-imposed stop sign. And so I think the comfort zone holds many of us back. And I think we have to question that. We have to ask ourselves, are we truly better off? Is the comfort zone really that comfy? Is the comfort zone really free from risk? John F. Kennedy said there are costs and risks to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction. Comfortable inaction is not risk-free. It's actually much riskier than we think. Now, one of my other mentors back in the day, Earl Nightingale, said that that most people tip through life hoping to make it safely to death. That's laughable, y'all, because it's funny and it's true. And if you think about it, it's actually not funny at all, because it's really, really sad. We are truly safer staring. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Are we truly safer staying comfortable? Are we truly safer saying, you know what? I don't need to write that book. I don't need to put myself out there. I don't need to get on social media. I don't need to do a Facebook live. I don't need to start a YouTube channel. I don't need to go and knock on doors and try to sell tickets to these different businesses. I don't need to. I don't need to. I don't need to. All along, that dream is dying inside of you because we have to press past our comfort zone. We have to press past our comfort zone and stop pretending that we are safer saying no. Because really, all we're really saying no to is that what's inside us that's seeking that fuller expression and expansion. We're saying no. We don't realize we're saying no, but we're saying no to the very giver of gifts and talents that put that gift in us, that put that talent in us, that put that calling in us, that created and designed us from the womb to do something amazing, to do something great. And you say, well, I've got this issue. I've got this family background. I've got this disability. I've got this injury. I've got this mental condition. I can't possibly do anything great. Well, you can sit around and stay in your comfort zone and be miserable, or you can change your decision model around risk taking. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the world will tell you that there's a lack of resources in you, that there's not enough. The world will tell you that you're incomplete, that you're not enough. The world will tell you that it's impossible to perceive a future where you can actually impact because of this and because of that. Those are all hallucinations. They're all lies designed to keep you imprisoned in your own mind, keep you imprisoned in your own house, keep you imprisoned in your own present reality. But successful people make decisions according to their purpose, not according to their present situation. And so I'm encouraging you today to have a vision of your future self. Have a vision of your future self with the resources, with the energy, with the strength, with the money to accomplish what is emerging from your spirit. You say, well, I don't know how I'm going to get the money. I need $1,000,000 to change this thing in my community. I don't have $1,000,000. I don't know anybody who has $1,000,000. Well, if you stay in that comfort zone and wallow in that comfort zone, you're never going to get that $1,000,000. But I promise you this, if you will shift your energy, and if you will hold that thought that the Lord is going to send you the $1,000,000 so that you can change communities, your community, so you can execute what's on your heart. If you will trust and believe and you will walk in that energy and push past your comfort zone and begin to talk to people about your dream, somebody with $1,000,000 is going to resonate with your dream, and that money will come. The resources will come. Now you may or may not be a millionaire. I hope everybody under the sound of my voice is a millionaire who does good for the kingdom and then makes it to heaven. That's what I would love to have happen, right? I don't know that that's going to happen for everybody, but I do know one thing: you will have an abundant and full life. And you say, well, I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. Well, you know what's more important than the money in the bank is being able to do the thing. But here's the cool thing, y'all. When you do the thing, the money in the bank comes. Woo, y'all. Y'all. If you want to start a business, write a book. You have to be able. You have to be able to vision yourself fully resourced and equipped to do the thing. Even if you don't see it right now, get out of that comfort zone and allow yourself to see it, because that is a model of success. A model of success. Instead of relying on those old models of belief based on our imperfection and incompleteness and inadequacy, which then when we try to move forward, our mind puts a stop sign, right? Instead of operating from those old models, we must then think the thoughts that support the new life. And we must support the thoughts that support what it is. We must think the thoughts that support what it is we've been called to do. And it's a natural process, right? The job of our ego is designed to keep us safe, right? And it's gonna try to make sure we don't mess out. And so when we try to push through our comfort zone, the ego's gonna be like, "Uh-oh, she's trying to do something again. Oh, wait a second, he's trying to do something again. We're not going down here. We want to survive. Danger, danger." We have to acknowledge those concerns. But then we have to move forward because, again, there is no risk to your life if you operate according and to an awareness of your true perfection in Him. Now, I'm not saying we're perfect people, but I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so there is no thing such as risk if I will operate with the awareness of my connection to God and the source of all things, who is the source of all things. There can be no such thing of risk if you operate with the awareness of your true connection to God, who is the source of all things. And especially those that are in alignment with your purpose, that are emerging from your heart of hearts, your spirit. You couldn't even, if I could just impart my belief to you for just a day, a week, a month, you wouldn't even have the awareness of this greater desire without having been giving the capacity to co-create it with and through Him. The risk is a lie of the enemy designed to keep you bound in mediocrity. And that's really where the conflict exists. It's the conflict between this programmed, centered, logical side, and then the spiritual part that's willing to have an expectation of amazement, to be open to having opportunities show up, even out of left field, to hold the space in which this or something even better could emerge. And I think it's hard for many personalities because it's really at odds with our logical side, which sees it as risk. The logical side wants to be right, and it wants to keep us where we are because it keeps us safe, is what it's designed to do. And it looks at our past experiences and our past results, and guess what? It says, I don't know about all that. But we're not going to make our decisions according to our past results. And we're not even going to make decisions according to our present situation. We're going to make decisions according to what? According to our purpose. Because if you buy into that logical side, where that rigidity in the thinking is, and those beliefs set in, and you commit yourself to not allowing something new to emerge, you run the greatest risk of all. And that is not living into and from your fullness, the possibilities, and we'll let a lot of opportunities pass us by. And so we want to understand that that we want to understand these concepts. We want to understand that a lot of us, all we're really seeking for our life is is for our life to have meaning. There's what did I put it back? Oh, where did I put it? Oh, it's right in front of me. I've been reading through Man's Search for Meaning from Holocaust concentration camp survivor Viktor Frankl. And I've been reading through, the meaning that he found in suffering, the meaning that he gave to his life, the meaning that those who survived that experience gave to their situation. And for us, we allow how does scripture say it? We allow our conscience to be seared. Well, before you get to the point of the conscience being seared, life has a way of searing your dreams. It just burns it right off. Burns it right out, so it doesn't even come into your mind anymore. I want to encourage you to dream. I want to encourage you to consider the possibilities. I want you to consider that when you feel this, this sense of pressure, frustration, lack of security, not to buy into that, but to mark it as a signpost and say, I need to see what's going on here, because this is in conflict. This is in contradiction to the future that I'm trying to build. And you can ask yourself, what's the truth and what's the next step that has to take place. And then you can begin to move forward. Martin Luther King said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And the answer will always be there for you. See, it's not only risky when you feel like you're all in your head and you don't think there's going to be a resource available. And it's not just risky if you feel some kind of tension, but when you feel that kind of tension, it's not to say, oh, this is too risky. Let me go back. Let me crawl back into my comfort zone. It's for us to go out and find out what's the source of this so that we can, in a positive way, be responsible to the communication that's trying to come through. Because it could be that your body is trying to tell you you're in a situation that you need to get out of. And I have that happen all the time in business. And I really do believe it's discernment of the spirit, that I won't understand why I know, but I just know I need to stop doing business with this person, or I need to not do business with this person. I need to not get involved with this person. And sometimes I like the person so much, the Lord has to put everything in place to make me stop. That's just how it is sometimes. But we don't want to, I don't want you to think that what I'm trying to tell you to do is ignore all of those negative things that bubble up. In fact, if you ignore it and you try to push through it, that only makes it lodge itself in and scream more to be heard. So the better thing is to say, okay, I know that as I go through life, I'm going to learn, I'm going to accumulate beliefs about myself, things are going to continue changing. I'm gonna look at how my life has come and how the beliefs have come through other people. So when it bubbles up, I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna evaluate it, and then I'm gonna bless it and release it. Because if it's not helping me, it needs to not block me. All right. And I'm going to evaluate, where did this come from? Is this a belief that limits my awareness? Is this a belief that serves me? And life is a wonderful series of decisions that we all make the choices, and the best decision we can make at the time that we make it. What does Maya Angelou say? We do the best that we can, and when we can do better, then do better. Make the best decision that you can, and then when you do better, when you can do better, do better. When you know more, do better. When you learn more, do better. When you're higher connected, do better. And over time, you will see that risk is an illusion. All right. You will see that risk really is an illusion. It's an illusion designed to keep you, again, like I said earlier, it's designed to keep you bound in mediocrity. Now, I've got something very, very special for you today. It is not up and running yet, so I'm not going to ask you to jump in. But many of you know that normally the way that we do business, we teach classes on Think and Grow Rich. We have our Authentic Abundance, which is the science of getting rich, a study of the science of getting rich. We have our Self-Image Rising, which is a study of psycho-cybernetics, and we are getting ready to kick off our courses. This last year we didn't do them because I was working on my doctorate, and I just felt like I needed to focus on getting this thing done. Well, I'm getting so close, y'all. We're getting ready. We're going to kick off with October. We're going to kick off with Think and Grow Rich. So I hope that you will join me with that. We're going to have a few public classes. We're going to pre-sell into the to the online class, and then we'll do the online classes. Some of them will be live and free. The rest of them will be behind the portal. Y'all know how it goes. My normal pricing. It's always $99 pre-order, $199 once we're in the class, $499 after the fact for the recordings. So you want to get in on the ground floor. You want to get in on this content that is going to take what we learned today about the myth of risk and help you apply these concepts to your life, and really, no kidding, help you build a new paradigm, a new way of thinking about wealth and success and health and relationships that's going to cause your life to explode. And all those things you've been dreaming about, you've been seeing other people achieve over here and other people achieve over there. Finally, it's going to be within your grasp. And I'm so excited to lead you through it. Now, if this is something that's interested to you, I want you to go to the link down at the bottom of your screen, calendly.com/JJConway/audit. I want you to set up a time with me, and let's walk through this together. Let's build wealth together. I'm JJ Conway. I'm so excited to be here with you. I hope you'll join me next week. It'll be our first Thursday of the month. That'll be our Q&A session. You can ask me any question about money and business, or life for that general. I talk a lot. So you ask me whatever you want. What do they call that now? Ask me anything. You can ask me anything. I will see you all next Thursday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Y'all take care and be blessed.